Have you ever thought about a building having a brain? I mean, really. We're in the middle of this incredible shift, moving from seeing buildings as just concrete and steel to viewing them as living, data-driven assets that can actually think, sense, and adapt. Today, we're diving deep into exactly that, the digital built environment.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start by looking beyond the old-school blueprint. Then we'll get into how we create something called a digital twin and bring it to life with data. We'll also cover a building's entire life cycle, which is totally different now, and wrap up with the big one, why this is about to change your job.
All right, first things first, let's get a really solid handle on what we're actually talking about here. What exactly is the digital built environment? Okay, at its heart, this is a huge mental shift. The old way, that was all about paper blueprints. You'd see a building as a static object. You'd build it, and then you'd kind of forget about it. But the new way? It's all about dynamic data models, treating a building like a living asset that we constantly manage and adapt.
So to put it a bit more formally, the DBE is like this digital nervous system that we weave through a building's entire life. And it's not just about some fancy 3D model. Nope, it's about using data to make every single stage, from the first sketch to daily operations, way smarter and more efficient.
And this is the part that fundamentally changes the job itself. The focus is shifting, It's moving away from just lines on a page and towards managing these complex flows of information. In this world, you're becoming a data manager just as much as you are a builder or a designer.
So, how does all this actually work? Well, it all revolves around one single core concept that powers the whole thing, this incredible idea of the digital twin.
Think of it like this. For every physical building out there, we create a perfect virtual replica. But here's the kicker. It's not just a static model. It's a dynamic copy that we can monitor in real time, we can run simulations on it, and we can even use it to predict when things might need maintenance. It's amazing.
And the main tool we use to build this digital twin is something called Building Information Modeling, or BIM. But please, don't mistake BIM for just a pretty 3D picture. It's way more than that. It's a super intelligent database where every single component is logged. I'm talking everything from the type of concrete in a pillar to the exact model of the air conditioning system.
Okay, so having a detailed digital model is great. But right now, it's just a skeleton. How do we give it a pulse? How do we turn it into something that's actually alive and responsive?
Well, it's really a team effort. The intelligence comes from this whole suite of connected technologies. You've got BIM and digital twins as the foundation, sure, but then we layer on sensors, data analytics, and automation to create a truly smart system.
And the Internet of Things, or IoT, is the absolute key to all of this. It's literally the building's nervous system. We're talking about thousands of tiny sensors embedded everywhere that are constantly feeding live data back to the digital twin. Is a meeting room getting too hot? Is a beam under too much stress? The sensors know, and they tell the twin, instantly.
Now, this constant flood of data leads to another really profound shift in thinking. In the world of the DBE, a building is never, ever truly finished.
This whole new reality, it operates in a continuous loop. Check it out. First, you build the physical building. Then you create its digital version and hook it up to all that live data from the sensors. And from that point on, it's just this constant cycle of analyzing performance, managing systems, and adapting the building over its entire life.
This means the grand opening, the ribbon cutting, that's just the beginning of the story. The DBE approach shifts our focus to long-term management, making sure that building is performing at its best for decades, through all the renovations, all the adaptations, all the way to when it's finally decommissioned.
So that brings us to the most important question, right? The bottom line. What does this whole digital revolution actually mean for your job and your career?
Well, if you're a surveyor, your world is getting a whole lot bigger. You're not just measuring physical space anymore. Now, you're managing complex spatial data that's all interconnected with live sensor feeds, digital models, and these huge asset databases.
And for you quantity surveyors out there, this is a massive opportunity. The whole conversation shifts from, so how much to build it, to what's the total cost to build, operate, and maintain this thing for the next 50 years? You're moving from just initial cost to the entire lifecycle cost.
And the trend is crystal clear right across the board. If you're in CAD, you're shifting from just making drawings to actually simulating performance. Quantity surveyors, you're going from build cost to lifecycle cost. Infrastructure planners, you're moving from standalone projects to creating interconnected data environments. No matter what your role is, it's becoming more predictive, more analytical, and deeply, deeply data-centric.
So we've seen how the digital built environment is basically giving our buildings a digital brain, totally transforming how they're designed, built, and managed. And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. If our buildings are becoming intelligent partners in our daily lives, how is that going to fundamentally change our own experience of living and working inside them?